You know. Hi, everybody. This is Joy Lasheray, and you're listening to on my program, I Matured Musicians. Today, I'm here interviewing Doug Cox. He's a country and rock singer. Hi, Doug.
Hi,
Glad you
thanks for
could.
having me.
Yeah, glad you could join us today. We'll get to your backstory in a minute. I do want to give a shout out to the Shasma Studio, owned and operated by Chad Christ in Edgewood, Washington. His studio is set up basically for guitarists and drummers, but however, he does other kinds of work, including he has recorded and produced my songs as well as many other artists in this area. So if you have any needs, look him up on Facebook or on whatever your browser is and type in Luscious Ma Studio or Chad Christ, and I think you'll find him. So, with that being said, giving a shout out to Chet, we'll start. Doug, you are an interesting fellow.
Oh, I hope that's good.
Yes, it is. So, I'm anxious to get into your background. But before we do that, I do want to tell everybody that you have a band called SmokeWagon,
Yes,
and you
yeah, that's
live
my backup band. Yeah,
in the Vancouver area. Did you say Camas?
yeah. I actually live in Camas, Washington.
Yeah.
But we're in the basic, I guess you'd call it the Portland metro area.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also, Doug, uh, I need to know how it got its name. I mean, you were saying something about the
Well,
Dug Cox and the Smoke Wagon.
right. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting because of the spelling DUG. And
Yes, Doug.
and that was completely contrived. That I had to do it because there is a very famous Canadian artist
Uh-huh.
who is famous for like playing slide guitar and lap steel and things like that, whose name is Dug Cox,
Oh,
spelled the traditional
you
Doug.
see.
And I was getting emails for
Oh,
him,
no.
and I'm going, oh man, I got to do something or else I'm going to get in big trouble here, because people are thinking I'm him. And, so I made the conscious effort to just get rid of the O and, you know, that was it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, how did you get Smoke Wagon?
Funny thing, one of my favorite movies is the Kurt Russell film Tombstone.
Oh, I love that. I wrote a song about
Right.
that. I went
And
there.
there is a scene between him and Billy Bob Thornton.
Uh huh. Yeah.
Billy Bob's a gambler,
Yeah.
and he's obnoxious as all get out.
Yes.
And,
He's a
and
cowboy.
Wyatt Earp puts him in his place,
Yeah.
and he uses the term smoke wagon. That's where it came from.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
So,
I
yeah,
didn't
so it
hear
is
that
actually
one. I just watched it.
yeah, there is that. So, yeah, it actually means, like a Colt. It's a pistol. Yeah,
Oh, cool.
yeah,
Smoke.
yeah. I think he uses the terminology. You're gonna skin that smoke wagon.
Uh,
Yeah,
oh, cool. I
yeah.
totally missed it. Now I got to go watch it
Now
again.
you gotta go watch it. Hey, it's worth watching anytime. So
All right. So, with that being said, and get that cleared up, so I know my curiosity has been satisfied there. When
okay.
did you start playing? And give me an idea of what your inspirations were and how it progressed. I want a journey from when you
Right.
started
Okay.
to
So
now.
let's see here. I mean, I started as a bass player,
Yes, you
and
were
I
saying that.
started playing when I was 15.
Okay.
And solely because it was a buddy of mine was a guitar player and he wanted to put together a band that was like, well, why don't you play bass? I'm like, okay. And it went from there. I was a bass player for 35 years.
Wow.
Um, and I was very fortunate that I had older musician friends who would run like blues jams and things like that, when I was like 18, 19 years old. And they would sneak me in to play. And so I was very, very fortunate to be able to be thrust upon stage with a lot of the Portland icon blues musicians.
Right.
And I really learned, like, it was sink or swim, trial by fire. If you're going to be up there, you better do it. And that's how I learned.
Wow.
Yeah. And I like I said, and I played bass, pretty much clear up into, I'm going to say probably like 2010, and I went through the whole, grunge era, and, I did the college tours and so forth and so on.
Wait, I'm going to stop you there. Speaking of college, you just told me that you did go to college for music. You majored in
Yeah,
music. Is that correct?
I studied at Mount Hood Community College, which is a huge jazz college,
Oh,
and I don't know anything about jazz. It was,
you're-
I mean, yeah, so yeah, I studied music, and it's a great tool to have in the toolkit. Um, but I quickly learned that learning all of this was great to have as a backup, when I need it, but this was not going to help me get in a band and,
and play.
do what and play and do what I wanted to do. So yeah, um, it pops its head up in, in odd places where I never thought it would, you know, but it works for me, as long as I keep in mind that I'm trying to keep everything truthful and honest, and what sounds good, then it's great.
Well, so did what kind of program was it? Was it like Associate of Arts or a bachelor's or?
It was a associate of music. Actually, they had a
Ah,
specialized program directly for music.
so do you learn theory and modes and all
Yes,
that good
yes,
stuff? Jazz is a whole different mode than country, let me tell you.
yes, yeah. Yeah, there was a lot there that was a little hard to relate to. Yeah.
Yeah, did you have to do all those scales? God, I hate scales. I just
I
hate
mean, I mean, it was literally everything. I had a basic keyboarding class, you know, uh, basic percussion class. I mean, it was a whole big thing.
yeah.
You know,
Well, you know what? Maybe it didn't help you playing in a band as from the actual doing it in a
right,
band with other musicians. But I'll bet all that stuff was chalked down in there and it was coming up that you weren't aware of it, that you were
right.
actually
It does pop its head up,
yes.
here and there. When I'm songwriting, and like, okay, where do I go from here? And oh, I've got this available and
Yeah,
this available, and you know, so it's handy, absolutely.
absolutely.
But not to say that anybody else that it's like that's just one option.
Yes,
It's like if you write from the hip, and that works for you, hey, fantastic.
exactly. Exactly. So where did you go from there? When you were 16,
Yeah, when I
your
was
first
15 I
instrument
started
was the
playing
bass?
bass.
Okay.
Like I said, I went to college. I played the blues thing for a while.
With the
um
bass.
yeah, totally on bass,
Okay.
singing backgrounds. Um and did the grunge thing, college tours, that kind of thing. Then you know, band after band after band. I finally got to the point where it's like I was going to front my own band, and I had a three-piece power rock trio called the Brinksmen, and we did really well. We played fair circuits and all kinds of cool shows, and I've had a couple of record deals, with small independent
Right.
labels, and
Yeah.
yeah, so it's been quite the journey. But about 2010 is when I really started concentrating on playing guitar and writing, really getting down and writing songs. And it, just like with everybody, it floundered for a bit. But I actually ended up having kidney failure.
Ah,
Okay.
ah,
And I went through, and I was able to get a transplant. But going through all of that, being 3 years on dialysis and so forth and so on, it really changed my perspective on life and things like that. Because before I kind of just felt like I was just stumbling through life, and I didn't really have anything to write about.
Right.
But after having that change of perspective,
Mm-hmm.
it's like the songwriting really just kicked in, and I've stayed true to that as far as, like I said, truthful and honest. The audience knows when you're phoning it in, and they do, man. And yeah, so, and that's pretty much my formula. That's what I do.
So was it difficult to go from bass, which is, that's like one note, not chords,
Right.
to noting, I mean, playing individual notes and so forth to lead
It
lift?
was it was definitely a transition. I'm pretty much, I couldn't play lead guitar to save my life.
Oh,
But
so what do you
being
play?
a rhythm guitar
Oh,
player
rhythm.
and the
Okay.
singer,
All
um,
right.
having a background in bass is extremely helpful because I have a far more intimate relationship with rhythm,
Yeah.
and locking in with a drummer,
Drummer.
and so it really helps.
Yeah. Absolutely. I play rhythm too, so I get it.
Yeah, absolutely.
In fact, I don't even need a drummer if I've got a good bass and vice versa. I don't need a
Right.
bass if I got a good drummer. Yeah, I get it. So, what was your first gig in college or wherever you were at the time?
Okay, so let's see here. My first gig when I was 15, 16 years old, my high school always employed a band, uh, for their wrestling matches.
Oh, cool.
So, and we would play the main riff. This was actually tradition at the school. We would
Oh,
play the main riff to Deep Purple's "Smoke on the Water"
oh,
for
cool.
to announce the wrestlers. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And that was my first exposure to playing live.
So when you played your first one, how did that feel? Were you scared or were you
The funny
relaxed
thing
or
is, I've never, I've only once experienced the whole butterfly stage fright thing.
oh, you're lucky.
Only once. And that was when I switched to guitar. Playing bass and being on stage and doing all that,
Yeah, you were
the
in
whole
the
the whole dog and
focus.
pony show
Yeah,
was I mean, second nature to me.
yeah.
But when I switched to guitar and doing this kind of singer-songwriter thing,
Yes,
the first couple ones, man, it's like, I was so used to having a drummer and a guitar player who had my back
right.
that, that being the only guy was a bit stressful.
Yeah. So obviously you got through it.
Well, yeah, yeah.
And after that, it was a piece of cake, or did you struggle still a little bit, or how
Um,
did
I still understand that,
yeah.
it's my neck on the line because,
Yeah.
I got to hold everything down, I can't slack.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, but it's fine.
Yeah. I know what you're saying. Absolutely. So when did going from there, your first gig and overcoming your nerves, and before we get into the next question, I
Right.
do want to ask you who your influences were. You were telling me that your parents come from different backgrounds, so you listened to different kind of music, and then
Right.
you went to a jazz program, and
Yeah.
to learn theory and whatever it was that they were teaching at the time.
Right.
So, can you tell us a little bit about your background of how you learned from your parents, and then who
Well,
your
like I said,
influences were?
like I told you, my dad is directly from Ripley, Oklahoma, which is a very, very
Country.
tiny little town next to Stillwater, Oklahoma, if anybody knows where that is.
No,
Uh, yeah.
I'm lucky if I know where Oklahoma is.
Right. And then my mother was from Ellensburg, Washington, another big cow town. They've
Yes,
got the Ellensburg rodeo and all this
yes.
kind of stuff. Although my mother wasn't much into country in the beginning. There was quite a bit of age difference between my folks. And so my dad was old school, George Jones, Willie, Johnny,
Now you
all
said it.
all all the classics, and my mother was more the Beatles, Elvis, Fats Domino,
Pop
Jerry Lee
stuff
Lewis,
that was
all
popular.
that kind of stuff. So growing up, I mean, I was a big Elvis fan, and so I had all of that.
The very first record I ever bought, an old 45, was Heartbreak Hotel.
Nice.
Then I got hooked. But I never really was into all that craziness about,
I think my
I
mother was. Yeah.
I just like his music.
Uh,
I didn't care what he was doing. I think Ricky Nelson was my heartthrob at the time.
oh, Ricky Nelson. Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Anyway, so after you got to college, when did you start SmokeWagon, or how did that all come about in your?
SmokeWagon started about, I'm going to say 2018. So it's pretty recent.
Yeah, it is.
It's kind of funny. So I had a whole band together, guitar, bass, drums, even keyboards, and then of course myself on rhythm and singing. And we're going through rehearsals and all this kind of stuff, and things are going pretty good. And we're just starting to do some gigs, and my dad passes away.
Oh, no.
And so I told him all. I said, look, I've got all this estate stuff to deal with, and I got to get through this. So I'm putting the band on hiatus. And they were all, thank God, they're all amazing people, and they were like totally understand, And then COVID hit. So,
Double whammy.
Yeah, exactly. So that ground everything to a screeching halt. A lot of the players went on to other bands and stuff like that. And, I totally respect that there's no way that I could expect them to wait for me, and so that's all good. And so I decided that, towards the end of COVID, I decided, you know what, I'm just going to go into the studio, use studio musicians, and try to make this as country as I can and still stay true to my songs, and that's what I did.
Right. What studio did you go to?
I have a buddy. His name's Vic Cericio. He's a local musician here, and he has a studio in his home, and he's amazing. He does a really good job.
Do you know what kind of program he used? Does he use Pro Tools?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. It's kind of a popular one. It does a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I couldn't understand it if I was right in front of me.
Yeah, me too.
So I have a question, and I hope I'm not doing anything personal here, but you have a challenge, and I'm wondering, I have to look down and see what chord I'm playing. And sometimes, I mean, there are some that I'm not real familiar with. I mean, we don't do all the chords in rock that in country that you do in rock. It's different mode.
Right.
And it's a different thing I'm learning.
Right. Yeah. So, there's a big difference in rock and country. Rock's mostly a blues scale, where country is a pentatonic scale.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how do you handle this?
Being visually impaired, I am legally blind. I have maybe 10% vision. And at best, it's really fuzzy. Okay. So, but
mine.
But it's one of those things where I've played so long, so much, that I know the neck of the guitar. I
wish.
I mean, trust me, when you're watching me play guitar, you're not seeing me go past the 5th fret, because I'm playing old school cowboy chords.
Yeah. Me too.
And that's fine. That's what my guitar player is for, to do all the other fancy stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like I said, thankfully I had 35 years of being a bass player and knowing right where the root note's supposed to be.
So you find it by the root note. So playing that root note, and you know where the other fingers need to be. What strings.
Right.
What notes. Oh, see, I haven't got that advantage. I think you've got a gift there over me. I have
It
this.
just takes practice and muscle memory. That's it.
Oh, I think my muscles aren't working anymore. Okay, so with Smoke Wagon, what was your first? What was your very first gig?
I took the band to a jam night on a Sunday night, and we played a set there. Um, and the reception was over the top. I mean,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. So after that, it's like I knew I've got something here,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah.
And then the reinforcement for that feeling was I started when I finished the first two singles, because I'm currently working on a 7-song EP. And when I finished the first two singles and I put them out and I marketed them to a number of radio stations.
Mm.
And
That's something I just don't know how to do. I talked to you
we'll
earlier.
talk. It's really not difficult. It's not rocket science.
Okay. And then what happens when you contact them? How do you contact them first, and do you send them a
The
electronic?
easiest way that I've done it is I just look them up on Facebook and send them a message and say, hey, can I get your contact information for submissions?
Oh.
And the important thing is that when they do give that to you, go to their site, page, whatever, make sure you're following the directions of how they want submissions to be handled.
Okay.
Okay. So I did all that, and I ended up sending it to a radio station in Canberra, Australia.
Oh, cool.
And I mean, so that's been like 5-6 years now that I've been working with them, and they're fantastic. It's called the Banks Radio Australia.
Wow.
And it's an FM station, and those two singles went to #1 on their independent artist charts.
Oh, that's wonderful. Congrats. That's
Oh,
just
thank you. It was such a surprise, and again, it was that moment where it's like, yes, I'm doing something right.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like that was positive affirmation.
I got a listener here that I want to talk to you about.
Okay.
I went to CCR. I'm not sure how I got a hold of this guy, but somehow through the electronics of Facebook and all. His name is Rodney Landert, and he's a fiddle player and does what do you call that? When he Charlie Daniel theme, where he does.
Oh, really?
Charlie
So
Daniel
he's like Devil Went Down to Georgia and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
I heard him play.
Hey, Charlie Daniels was amazing.
Yeah. And he's in a band called the Hot Rosters, and he just sent us a message, and he says, "Hi, Joy, listening from Costa Rica,
Oh my goodness,
recording for America's Got Talent." And that Hot Roster is right. That's the last thing he says. Hot Roster. That's right. I'm glad you tuned in, Rodney. That's cool.
That is awesome.
So we have another countryman here. So
in Costa Rica. Wow.
Tributes.
Your show is wide reaching. That's great.
Yeah. Well, he was asked to record down there, and I think for this person's record, I think, nice. Or whatever they call these things these days, recording. And that was just so cool. And the fact that he could tune in and hear us is even better. So shout out to you.
Well, hey, since he's listening, I may be looking for a fiddle player. So.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Rodney, are you interested in going down to Camas area?
Yeah, there you go. See, it's just like Costa Rica.
Yeah, you told me there was a place called the Ponderosa, is it?
Yeah, it's a country bar, venue, and I mean it's a really great club. I mean it's and they have local acts, they have national acts come through. Anybody who's up and coming in Nashville or in the country industry, they play there when they come to town.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a really, I mean, huge stage, great sound, great lights, big dance floor. Yeah, it's a great place.
So that's good to know, Rodney. Shout out.
Yeah,
Anyway, we're getting back to this radio business. So you, what they play your songs? Is that how
yeah,
this works? So
yeah,
anything that you send them, they play on their radio station.
yes.
And how do you know what feedback you're getting from their Australian?
Because a lot of the, at least the international radio stations, they basically have their own version of like the Billboard charts or
Oh,
whatever.
okay,
And it's
good.
like your song debuted at this number this week or whatever, you
Right.
know. So yeah, it's pretty much the same. What a lot of independent artists they don't realize as they're struggling and getting beat down by the airwaves here in the United States
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they don't have representation.
Right.
The FCC pretty much requires it, but the FCC only exists in America.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
international is free game.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
went to see a friend. Not to interrupt, but on St. Patrick's Day, she was playing at a place that I used to go every Tuesday night to jam. At that time, it was called blank Stewart's, and they
Stuart's okay.
call it Pottas now. It's in Snohomish,
Yeah.
and it's the Lori Lori Hardman
Okay.
HARDMAN band, and she played there on St. Patty's Day, and she's really popular in Europe because, and
Hmm.
I'm not exactly sure where. But she has a producer from overseas. Oh,
Oh,
she
very cool.
isn't that cool? I
Yeah, that's
swear uh, invention it's just amazing how everybody has a different take on things. I interviewed a
right.
lady here, Deb Seymour, who does house gigs,
Oh, he
and
does like private parties and things like
she,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and now she's playing other places. But anyway, Rodney does say he's ready to play. He'll be back in Seattle in a week, so we'll
Oh,
see you
nice.
then, guy. Okay, so now
Well,
we've
I still got 3 songs to finish. So if I need a fiddle player, I'll know where to go.
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just Rodney Landert, Landert. And if you need to get his name, he's on Facebook. I'll give it to you.
Great.
So, anyway, moving from there, we talked a little bit about COVID earlier.
Mhm. Yep.
And of course, I didn't have a band. I had quit 2015. I had a serious illness. I had cancer, a couple of cancers, and had to go through all that chemo and
Oh,
whatever. And by the time I got on stage, my body was done.
yeah.
And so for 4 years, I just recuperated and then found out coming back in is like pulling lion's teeth. I mean, if you leave, you've forgotten.
Right.
And
Yeah,
so,
COVID didn't help anybody who had to stop playing.
yeah,
You know, it really did not. I mean,
yeah,
I had to start from square one as far as, the promotion thing and getting people back into even interested in what I was doing,
yeah,
you know. Then to top
yeah,
it off, with being off for so long, in my case, it was detrimental. It did a number on my vocals,
yeah.
you
Mine
know,
too. I
so I
huge
had to go
difference.
back to
Yeah,
basics and start
yeah,
doing vocal exercises
yeah,
and to try, and I'm still doing that,
yeah,
I still find like my range isn't what it used to be. And thankfully, I've got a really good friend who I went to high school with, and he is actually a choir teacher for the local high school. And
yeah.
so, I talked to him about it, and he goes, "Do this, do this, So, yeah, I'm very fortunate that way.
Right, because it did make a big difference. I started going to jams. That's what saved mine. But
Yeah.
and then I joined a volunteer band for a senior band out of Bothell. And we played
Oh,
in the retirement communities and all different places around here. And
good.
one of the last places I played was at Life Center where in Kirkland, where all the people, I don't know if you got any of that in where you're at, but we had a lot of older people die there.
Mm.
And the last gig that I played, of course, I got COVID. Didn't know what it was, but
Oh, I got
yeah.
it twice.
Oh,
Once pre-vaccine and once post-vaccine.
oh, I had so many vaccines. I think I've had 4 now. It's
Yeah,
like, oh my God, I have a pincushion. But
yeah.
anyway,
But yeah, I am grateful for the vaccines.
yeah,
I'm a big proponent of it. But my situation warrants that. Like I said, I
yeah,
told you before
yeah.
that I am a transplant recipient. I had kidney failure, and so being on
Oh, yeah.
anti-rejection meds,
Oh,
I am immune hampered.
yeah,
So yeah, so there was no doubt about me getting the
yeah,
vaccine or anything like that.
yeah,
It was smart for me.
yeah. It's smart for me too.
Yeah.
Trust me. Yeah. So, what were you thinking? I know when I sat here with nothing to do and nowhere to go for about 4 or 5 days, and then I
Right.
started screaming, "Ah! I can't stand this anymore. I got to do something." So I grabbed my guitar and went to my old songbooks where we had played different songs and so forth, and just started picking out the songs I knew and songs I've played before, and started singing to myself. Well, that's all right, except that when you do that, and of course, I was taking guitar lessons from a friend of mine over the
Right.
internet, which is sucks. But it got me going to jams when it started opening a little, where
Right.
you could do it outside and so forth. And that saved my life. I tell you, if
Good.
I hadn't done that, I would have been stark raving mad. And the thing is, these people were dying left and right. And it was so frustrating to see a million seniors die.
Right.
I
So
was like, oh my God.
so my COVID experience was, as far as the lockdown stuff went,
Um,
I mean, my wife and I have an amazing relationship. We
yeah.
never have we never run out of things to talk about, or she's amazing. And of
Wonderful.
course, it was basically spring, summertime when it hit, you
Yeah.
know. And
Yes.
so I would just grab my acoustic guitar and go. We live in a 55 and older
So
community,
do we. Yeah.
and I would just go out and sit on our back deck and just play and sing, and so at least I was outside getting some
Right.
sunshine, and and it was it began to grow, and we would have, because everybody was keeping their distance, of course, but
Yeah.
we'd have all these neighbors like standing, 30
That's
feet away in the safety of their own yard or
oh,
whatever,
so cool.
listening. In their pajamas and robes in the morning,
Yes.
coffee in
Oh,
hand. you
oh.
know
Yeah.
it was
Oh,
it
yeah.
was great. It
Wonderful.
was fantastic.
Well, that's a way you take a bad situation and turn it around.
Right.
Absolutely. Lucky you. Oh, I'm glad to hear that.
I have to say I am very blessed. I've been very fortunate.
So, when you were doing that, did you ever consider that? I mean, do you have any thoughts about maybe this isn't going to end, or maybe we won't get a handle on it? Was there
Um no, I knew at some point,
optimist?
things would get back to normal,
Yeah.
and down here in the Portland area, people are just now starting to relax enough to
Yeah.
where they're going out and
Yeah.
supporting live music
Same
now.
here. Yeah.
And that's great.
Mhm.
I'm so glad to see that come back, and it's coming back strongly.
Yeah, it is here. Unfortunately, it's a lot of not a lot, but some of the places that we played are gone.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, same here.
Yeah.
But
And we got more
doing
musicians
this as
than
long as I have,
yeah.
um, venues come and go.
Yeah.
They close. A place you used to play, all the time,
Yeah.
closes down, or under new management, they change directions, whatever.
Yeah.
But inevitably, new venues open up.
Yeah.
You
That's
just got to be patient
yeah.
and flow with be flow with it.
Go with the flow.
which is hard to do for some people, myself included. But
Yeah. Well, I haven't started for money yet. I'm still doing it, champs.
Right.
Yeah, I swear. So when you look back on the things that you've done as a bass player and now with your own band since 2018,
Hmm.
uh, what are some of the has there ever been a moment where you said, oh, aha, the aha moment, this is what I was born to do. This is what I was meant to do.
I felt that way early on in my career that, you know, I was ready and prepared for whatever would happen, whether, I ended up being in the next Guns N' Roses or, or I was, playing in a coffee shop.
Absolutely.
It's like, it didn't matter to me as long as I was playing,
Yeah.
and that struck me early on, and that's never changed.
Well, speaking of playing, would you like to?
Sure.
All right.
All right.
So I'm going to, I don't know if you can see it at all or if you know it or not, but I'm going to get out of here.
Okay.
It'll just be screen and you. And
Okay.
we'll give you one or two songs and then we'll talk about upcoming gigs to promote what you have in the
Sure.
brewing in the pot.
That sounds great.
All right. Okay.
All right.
Moving me. You can't hear me, but I know I can hear you.
Okay. Sounds great.
All right. Here we go. Maybe not.
There we go. All right. This one's called One by One. It's a true dyed in the wool country style drinking song. In the morning as I raise my weary head, the sun is shining, but I feel like I'm dead. 'Cause my darling, she won't treat me right. She's got me wondering when she spent last night. Raise your glass to the morning light. Keep it coming till I feel alright. Raise your drink to the midnight sun. Light 'em up one by one. All wrapped up in my state of mind, out of touch and out of time. So prop me up against this barroom wall and keep coming till it's last call. Raise your glass to the morning light. Keep coming till I feel alright. Raise your drink to the midnight sun. Light 'em up one by one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't you worry now, don't you fret. It's real easy, just take that step. Pull up a bar stool right next to me. Don't you know misery loves company? Raise your glass to the morning light. Keep it coming till I feel alright. Raise your drink to the midnight sun. Light 'em up one by one. Raise your glass to the morning light. Keep it coming till I feel
Well, I loved it.
Thank you.
I just want to, now, was that one you wrote?
Yes.
All right. I, yeah, I loved it. So, what I do want to say to people who may be listening to this later or maybe listening to it now is, when we do this on my program, we don't have all the big soundboards and all the monitors and all the speakers and all that good stuff to really blast it out there and make it sound Nashville, right? But for what you have and how we're doing this, I really appreciate that. So you have another one, or are we
Yeah,
done?
I can play another one.
Okay.
This
Thank
is
you.
actually one of the singles that went to Australia. It's
Okay.
called Laugh, Smile, Cry.
Oh, yeah. I want to
Yep.
promote that.
Now,
Okay.
again, it'll sound way different than the studio version because I don't have a fiddle player. So anyway, yeah, but you'll get the gist.
Okay.
Laugh, smile, cry.
All right. Here we go.
Sick and tired of being sick and tired. Work your fingers to the bone. When you feel like there's no tomorrow, you've been left on your own. Well, don't be scared, 'cause I've been there. You just got to carry on. And in the end, you've got a friend. Just pick up the phone. We laugh, we smile, we cry to forget the reasons why. We laugh, we smile, we cry, we cry. When you fall down, pick yourself up off the ground. Hold your head up high. Seems unfair that no one else would care if you said goodbye. We laugh, we smile, we cry to forget the reasons why. We laugh, we smile, we cry, we cry, we cry. We laugh, we smile, we cry to forget the reasons why. We laugh, we smile, we cry, we cry, we cry. We laugh, we smile, we cry to forget the reasons why. We laugh, we smile, we cry, we cry, we cry.
Bravo. Okay. Where can we all find this? I know I found it on YouTube.
Right. You can find it on YouTube. None of it's for sale yet because like I said, I'm finishing up the EP, and then it will be on all the platforms: iTunes, Spotify,
Yeah, gotcha.
all that stuff. But yeah, currently you can listen to the singles that are released on YouTube and
I
or the
think it was
Facebook page.
live too. I think it was live on there.
Some of it, yeah. I've got studio stuff and I've got live stuff footage too.
Yes,
So
it's
yeah,
very, very
Facebook
different.
page, Reverb Nation, Instagram, all that stuff.
Very different from a CD to playing it live. It's a whole nother ball game.
Oh, absolutely. The funny thing is I wasn't going to release a CD. I was really trying to be contemporary and modern, and I was just going to release each song as a digital single.
Yeah.
And because I've seen there's a lot of people doing that nowadays, and it seems to be very effective.
Yes.
And I became aware I had many people saying, I want a CD. So I'm like, okay. That wasn't in the plan, but I guess I'm going to put out a CD. So
yeah, I decided to do them one at a time, and I don't do every song with CDs, but I hear you.
Yeah.
So
it'll be all in one package, a 7-song EP, and it'll be available. I'm hoping it will be out by summer.
Okay. And now you have a website, and that is?
The website for the band is at this point it's just on Facebook. I don't have the actual website finished yet.
Dug Cox, SmokeWagon.
Yeah, but you can look at Dug Cox and SmokeWagon, and it'll get you there.
Okay, great, great. What do you have coming up for gigs?
I've got a private party on the 2nd. And then at this point, because I'm just breaking in a new band, I've got stuff booked out like for the Clark County Fair.
Yeah.
And so multiple gigs at the Harvest Festival here in Vancouver. So yeah, I'm just getting started booking.
Okay. I do want you guys to listen to some of Doug's stuff. It's really good, and you can see him at the fairs. And I'm going to ask you to do us a favor. It's kind of hard to get information from that far away, or even across the mountain, over in Spokane on musicians. Right. So you did join the Matured Musicians group. So if you post this stuff like your Facebook page and your schedule, like what you have coming up, we can find you there. And I'm sure there are people who would like to go to some of these things that you're going to do.
Absolutely. I would love to see everybody.
Perfect. All right. So we do have another, apparently Rodney's got a gig on April 1st at the Oxford, because he says, great interview. I'll see you there on April 1st, April Fool's Day. So I don't know if he's kidding me. I got to tell you a story. We have a club here called CCR in Snohomish, right?
Okay.
He was going to have me come up and sing with his band.
Yeah.
And I got sick.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, I'm not happy about that. But anyway, he listened to us from Costa Rica, which I think is super. Maybe you can better get a radio station there.
There you go. Radio Costa Rica.
There you go. All right. So one of the questions that I ask, like looking into the future right now, say for the next 5 years, what do you see yourself doing in your band? I know you said you were just breaking in a new band, which is always fun.
Right. Personally, it's like I really do want to be a professional songwriter and sell songs.
That sounds like you're already starting that journey.
Right. I'm hoping so. So if anybody knows how to get a hold of Darius Rucker, hook me up, would you?
Hey, Rodney, do you know Darius?
Yeah. I got that last song, Last Mile Cry, is perfect for him. So I mean, that's a major goal. And
Yeah, you
Other than that,
mentioned.
it's like, just really expanding and, I want to do the small tour thing,
Yeah.
and just really get solid. I mean, the interesting thing is there in the Portland area, there isn't a lot of original country.
Really?
Yeah, it's very, very slim here.
Glad.
So, so I'm kind of like one of the few. There are a lot of country musicians, but it's all cover bands and stuff like that, and they're amazing.
Yeah. Oh,
But very, very few original artists.
well,
So
I guess.
I'm trying to blaze some trails here.
All right. Well, sounds like a plan. So
Yeah.
what do you see? What do you see for 5 years out? Just
Um,
marching on that same path, or
yeah, uh, I can see, like I said, I've had small record label deals before, so I
ah,
could easily see that happening again. I could, I definitely, like I said, want to do some touring. So, maybe start out, just doing a short West Coast tour. I've done gigs down in the Bay Area,
yeah,
private party stuff. And so I would love to try and set something up from like Bellingham, and make
yeah.
all the stops all the way down to the Bay Area, and then back up to Portland again. You
Sounds like
know,
a plan.
yeah,
Well, good
and I
luck.
mean that, those things, of course, take planning and time, but I would
Money
love to do that.
and money.
Yeah,
Well, we got an answer from Rodney. He says no, but I know Blake Shelton.
hey, there you go. Yeah, I don't know. Blake's amazing, man. I mean, I love his writing. He's incredible. Yeah.
Well, we have local talent here, and you have that. You have a local talent there who does write his own music, and that is Robert Henry and
Hmm.
the Robert Henry Band. So you have one. So
Yes. Yeah.
maybe at some point you can go one of his gigs or something, and you
That would
guys
be
can.
awesome.
He has. I don't know if he has a fiddler. I'm trying to remember, but I know he has a steel player. It's pretty
Yeah.
good. Okay, so what advice would you like to give our listeners on? A lot of people may not listen today. I mean, this is not unusual that I would have, not as many people as after we broadcast this.
Right.
For one thing, this is going all over the world because it's digital, so
Right.
it's going out there.
So
And then local,
is your audience mostly
and they work.
matured musicians, or is it
No,
across the board?
well, matured is simply the music.
Right.
It turned out that, when I was thinking, we tried to figure out a name, and the name
I
is
love it. I
famous.
think it's great.
There is one another website called Matured Musicians in Canada, by the way. But anyway, excuse me. We struggled with the name, but I've had I had a young local guy named Spencer Toyson. He writes his
Yeah.
own rock, and he has a bass player and drummer called Wes Hampton, and the two of them and their drummer just rock the house.
Oh,
And
nice.
he's 24 years old, and this kid is really super good. 24. And
Nice.
I have another girl out there I just met at the Oxford in Snohomish, Oxford Saloon. And I'm guessing she's probably in her very, very early 20s if she's that old. And she's just starting. I don't know what I'd call her work. Kind of a rock pop, maybe.
Oh, cool.
And I hope to get her out here. So no, it's not just the more experienced, but
Right.
sometimes you can get somebody that young who has the experience as somebody who's in their 50s or 60s. Why, I
Right.
have no idea.
Right.
But I do interview people like that
Right.
because their music is matured. So
Right. Everybody comes into their own at their own pace. That's for sure.
that's right.
And as far as advice goes, I would say, because I've been through this, is stick to your guns. Do your thing. Don't worry about the trends. Don't worry about what other people say. You know,
Yeah.
just be true to yourself.
Excuse me.
because
Amen.
that shines through over
Yeah.
everything else.
Yeah. Well, I've had some criticisms in that area, but you know what? That's my thoughts, and
Right.
I think it's important to get them out there. I've got a song called Lavender Fields coming out, and it's still in the process here. I got a fiddle player, Lynn Sorensen. We mentioned him earlier.
Yeah.
He's going to play on it, and it's about suicide in the military. I mean, it's
Oh, nice.
kind of serious song, but I thought it had to be said, and it's not happy and all this kind of stuff, but it's very colorful and moving. So,
Good. I
yeah.
actually have a song. It's a military song too.
Hey,
That it's called "How Do We Move On,"
oh, I
and
love to
and
hear.
there are a lot of songs, especially in country, about the military.
Yeah.
But I
So,
wanted to write it. I wanted to write it from the perspective of the family members at home who are the survivors.
yes,
After losing somebody in the military,
right.
and
That's what my song is about.
oh, that's awesome! I would love to hear it. I haven't
Yeah.
recorded it yet. Haven't even introduced it to the band.
Oh, I've
But
got mine recorded. I just need it mastered. It's still one more thing. It just needs a fiddle player, and I think a couple more sessions, and we'll be mastered.
yeah. Well, like I said, listen to my studio version of Laugh, Smile, Cry. If you like Erin's plan, I'll
Yes.
get you her information.
Yeah, I do. I do, and I would
Okay.
appreciate that. Yes, thank you. I'll also send you some information from Rodney too, so maybe the two of you can get together at some point.
Oh, that would be amazing.
He's really good.
Yeah.
His band is very different. When I went there, and I think this is the mark of a good band. If you got that place, that dance floor packed, you're doing the right thing.
Yes,
You
absolutely.
must know this.
Uh-huh.
When you go to the fairs and festivals, do people dance to the music? And
It really depends. Usually, yes.
yeah.
In any environment when you're an original act,
Huh.
it takes a bit more to hook the people because it's not something they're
Yeah.
familiar with.
Yeah.
Which is why I like to pepper my sets with a couple of cover tunes here and there. It just kind of like reels them back in. It's like, oh, I know that one, and so it keeps them hooked.
Yeah, I hear that. So, what a lot of people do different things, and I'm a very visual person in that I watch my audience to see their reaction, and I watch very closely to see what kind of music that they're responding to and dancing to.
Right.
And I'm wondering how you accomplish this. Just do you?
from the stage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, being as I'm blind, yeah. I actually have a very funny story
Okay.
about being blind on stage.
Okay.
But it's more so, the audience reaction. I mean, I might not be able to see,
Mm-hmm.
4 feet past the edge of the stage,
Right.
but
Neither
I
can
can
I
tell,
sometimes.
if people are dancing, and, I can see the shapes moving and
Oh,
that
okay.
kind of thing. But so I have back in my rock and roll days,
Uh-huh.
and we were playing this club in let's see, it was in Gresham, Oregon, and big rock club, and I knew the sound guy and the lighting guy and all that kind of stuff. And so my band, we're getting on stage and we're getting ready to do our set, and I jokingly say into the microphone to my lighting guy and I go, cue the fog machine, so they did. And so the stage lights are on, everything's lit up, and I'm looking over to my left, and I'm seeing this bank of fog rolling in my direction, and I'm thinking to myself, I am so screwed. I'm gonna fall off the stage because I'm
no.
not gonna be able to see anything. And again, like I said, I have always been very blessed, and I am super grateful for that. So I'm freaking out, having on the verge of having a panic attack, and the fog washes over me, and I realize that because the best way for me to see is to have a lot of contrast.
Yeah.
And between the stage lighting, the fog, it silhouetted the mic stand so I could see it perfectly. And so I was like, oh, hey, this is going to be great. Okay. But yeah, there was a sense of panic there for a moment.
Oh my gosh. Did you fall off? Yeah, I'm sure you didn't fall off stage, or you would have mentioned it.
No, I've never fallen off stage. I one time I was in another club, and it was a typical rock club where they have the big wall of speaker mains in the front, and the stairway to get off the stage was behind one of those walls. And trying to navigate the stairs, I put my arm out and touched one of the speaker cabinets.
Yeah.
And it turned out that they were empty.
Oh.
And the wall fell over.
Oh my God. Oh,
Yeah,
no.
yeah. It fell over. That
I
was pretty
have
funny.
to say that's never happened to me.
Yeah,
Hopefully never will.
Yeah, the perils of the blind. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, well, of anybody.
Yeah.
I was telling you that Lynn Sorensen who played with Bad Company for a while, he fell off the stage. He broke his ribs. And,
Oh my God.
And then after, and he said that, and he told us that story because I got sick one night and I got really, really dizzy and had people not help me off the stage. I would have fallen off. I was so embarrassed.
Oh my God.
But you know what? I'm not alone.
I just look at it, that, I've never heard of Ray Charles or, Jose Feliciano or any of the, yeah. I never heard of them falling off the stage.
Yeah, well, it's the luck of the draw, I guess.
Uh-huh.
Well, you know what? It is that time. It is now 1:02.
Okay.
I'm 2 minutes over. Sorry about that. But I had a wonderful time, and I've enjoyed your backstory. Thank you for being with us.
I enjoyed being on the show. This was fantastic.
Oh, great. And so I do hope you stay in touch with us.
I will, absolutely.
And when you get something, monumental like your
so,
CD.
So refresh my memory, because you're in Redmond, right?
Mm-hmm.
How far is that from Tacoma?
About 45 minutes to an hour, depending upon where it is. Okay. Mostly traffic. Wait a minute, my husband's talking. Hold on. What? 73 miles.
Okay.
Oh, 43. Sorry.
Yeah, because I've done previous shows in Tacoma, which is like 2 hours from me. So yeah, so when I get up in that direction, you guys will have to come out.
Yes, absolutely. But be sure to put a matured musician so we know. And if you can remember, email me so that I can get it out there as well.
Great. I'll do that.
You have a good rest of your day. Thanks.
Oh, you too. Thank you so much.
It was fun. Take care.
Take care.
And good luck. Bye-bye. Well, that's it for me. Next week, we have a double header. I have two guests. Sandra Rita Don Lopez is a bass player, and she's started Sam's Club back up, and it is going, and she's been advertising it, and we are going to talk about Sam's. And I know that they are now asking bands to come out, show up. So she would be a good contact person for you. She's full of energy and full of fun. She's next week on the 27th. And then for half an hour after, I had a guest, Chris Klemecki, who has a program where it's like a big rock stars concert. He has all this lighting and all this good stuff going on. And he's going to explain that. It's going to be out at Oh, shucks. I can't make Minimins. I'm not sure. It's somewhere in the Tacoma area. But he's going to be talking about that, how it all comes together. And they have their gig, I believe, on the 30th or 31st of Grieve the Astronauts. And I'm pretty sure you want to hear about that. It's pretty amazing. So, okay, guys, you have a good rest of your week. This is Joy signing off. Hopefully, I can do this gracefully. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in or tuning in later after the broadcast. Bye-bye.